All right. Here we are.
I will say they made
We're
the
in the pre-show.
protagonist unlikable on purpose, and it rocks. Kind of.
Kind of. Sometimes that works.
Works. I can't believe Gage just drops a fucking controversial
List?
We'll have to wait until the show. Find out what this
5 minutes
man said.
time. Hey, I can't come.
Yeah. Oh, he sent me his list just now. Wow. Holy shit.
Uh-oh.
Man.
Is it 10?
Yeah, it's all 10. And it's numbered.
That's good.
Wow. I can't believe this. We'll have to wait and see what happens here. All right. Oh boy. Gosh damn it. Oh shit, I forgot this game came out. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. We're gonna have some varied lists here, I think. Looking at Gage's list and knowing obviously your guys' taste, we're gonna have some nice varied lists. Gonna be good.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Go down memory lane.
Hell yeah.
Back when I played games. God. I was doing my list and I was remembering those games. I was like, God, yeah, video games are freaking awesome. I need to make some time for some video games again.
Yes.
You don't have to, bro.
I don't. Okay.
They all suck.
Oh man, there won't be any video games left by the time I come back. The way things are going. Studios closing left and right.
That's true. Yeah, we're gonna have some news about that here in a minute.
Excuse me.
All right. I have a good start here. I can finish this as we go. Actually, I need to add this one. Can't forget this one. All right. Are you guys ready to start?
Yes, sir.
I'll do my best. I'm ready.
Okay. Well, then let's go.
You're listening to Podcast PXN,
A video game podcast.
Delivering a player experience news.
Let's go. What is up, guys, and welcome to Podcast PXN episode 281. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and I'm joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado and hardcore casual himself, Roshan Warner at Roro.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Just an echo
Yes.
after a while.
Heard down.
Oh,
Yeah. A spooky cavern that you will not go in because you don't like spooky games. And the host of Large Popcorn and video producer at The Gamer, Christian Macias at ISO Christian.
I've got a bangover today.
A bangover?
A bangover.
Oh, what's a bangover?
It's like a hangover, but instead of your head hurting, it's your whole body from being in a mosh pit.
Oh shit. Fuck.
Saw the Deftones.
I did see Deftones yesterday. Yeah,
Wow.
that's quite a show. I was fifth row in the pit. I've got thoughts on the way Gen Z moshes, but that's for another time.
Jeez, it was that rough. It could also be you're also getting very old, Christian. You're getting
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. That is one of the things, but I don't think that was it. It wasn't that rough. I was more tired than like getting beat up. But the times that I did get beat up, it did leave a little bit of a stain. You are right, Daniel.
I was just kidding. You're not that old. I mean,
Yet.
Yet. All right. Gage will join us again next week, but we do have his list of games that we will talk about here in a second. But thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. The topic of the show this week, guys, is our games of the decade for the 2020s. We are at the halfway point, so we are running through our games of the decade. But before we get there, I wanted to jump in with this story before we get to the topic of the show, because this kind of is directly related to our topic of the show from last week, and thought that I should put it here at the beginning of the show for anyone that caught last week's episode. So this little tidbit hit a few days ago that says Xbox will have a catalog of games soon that will start using these AI/Muse models. Says, wait a minute. We talked about this, right? Oh, no, sorry. Muse we talked about last week. This comment from CEO Satya Nadella from Microsoft is what is troubling. He says that Xbox will have a catalog of games soon that will start using these models. We're going to train these models to generate and then start playing them. In fact, when Phil Spencer first showed it to me, he had an Xbox controller, and this model basically took the input and generated the output based on the input. And it was consistent with the game. That to me is a massive moment of wow. It's kind of like the first time we saw ChatGPT complete sentences, or DALL-E draw, or Sora. This is one such moment. Yeah, so his first comment there of having a catalog of games that will use these models, not sure that that's what anyone wants.
I think the most concerning thing on there is the comparisons to like generative AI uses with like DALL-E and ChatGPT specifically, like pointing to those as revolutionary items, which I think any sort of sane person at this point is kind of looking at those with a little bit of suspicion, considering how bad sort of our own capabilities of comprehension have gotten because of the rampant use of AI, specifically like literally in the classroom with kids. Like, people are getting dumber, and that's not to say that's beyond even like the plagiarism issues with DALL-E ripping off plenty of artists over the course of X amount of years. But also, like, I don't know, man, when we want to play a game, we want to play something that was created by real people and not just have to. We don't want to play slop just to like play a thing. We want to play something that was curated for us, which is going to go really hand in hand with, I think, our topic of the show today, which is like, these are like why we play games, is to experience art. And in my opinion, AI certainly has its use cases, but in the use of generation of it for art, I am suspect of a lot of its applications.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, as you all know, I think we're all pretty much against AI for the most part, especially in the creative field. Like, if there was a button to get rid of it completely, I would pay money to be the one to push it, to be honest. I just don't like it at all. But it would be silly of me to say that there are no benefits, but I still don't think the benefits outweigh the good. And if they do, there need to be a lot of laws and regulations put into place to make sure that the negatives aren't impacting people that it shouldn't impact, so the benefits can stay benefits, because right now it's a wild west out there, and it doesn't need to be. I just think people are either lazy about it, or they see the end goal being money and they decide not to do anything about it. It's just easy not to do anything about it right now.
For sure. Yes, it's both of you guys are spot on. It's getting to be a bit much right now with all of the aspects of generative AI.
Also,
yeah.
One more thing.
Sure.
Not really a big Satya Nadella fan. I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, yes. The man has made Microsoft a lot of money in his tenure, but yeah, in terms of like liking the decisions he makes for the end user, yeah, not so much. All right. Let us move into our topic of the show, guys. So, our topic of the show, games of the decade, 2020's era. And we are halfway through this era, of course, with 2025 just starting. So we're going to go through our top 10 games of the decade for each of us. And I think it would be a little fun here, similar to our game of the year thing. I was thinking we do a point system, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then just for fun.
You were thinking it, huh?
Add them up. Well, I did it. I kind of just thought of that just now.
Did you? Who you want to go back and re-listen to that voicemail I sent you 2 weeks ago, or what?
Oh, did you say that on there?
Verbatim my idea. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a spreadsheet ready for me to rank these so we can have a combined PXN's top list of 2020. Not 2020. Sorry, top games of the decade so far.
My apologies, Christian. I was not meaning to take your credit.
I thought of it just now.
No, I didn't. I didn't mean it like that. I just the points. The idea for the 2020s, and then yes, I didn't realize that. My bad. My fault. I will own up to my mistake. All right.
Before we start ranking, though, I would love to hear if any of you guys have honorable mentions, because I went through, and when I was getting my list ready, I was like, man, I would love to include this game in this list, but I don't know if I can put it in here. So I ended up making a separate list, just of, not that I'd talk about any of them, but I would at least like to name drop them. I want to see if you guys had any first.
I do, but give me a second. I'll let Ro.
Yes, I do have some. I also don't need to go that deep into them, though, but I'll name them off. Ghost of Tsushima is one of them. I really, really enjoyed that game. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, Life is Strange, True Colors, and Sonic Frontiers. I got to put Sonic Frontiers on the list, but didn't make the top 10 cut. But those are mine.
Oh yeah,
very, very nice.
Christian,
Want me to go, Dan?
Yeah, just I'm ordering mine right now. I have them all written down, but I'm ordering them.
I don't have them in a ranked order. I just have them non-ranked order because they're just honorable mentions. I have a few. Citizen Sleeper rocks. Forgotten City also rocks. Sifu I thought was awesome. Inscription is a banger. Before Your Eyes, an emotional banger, and then I have Armored Core 6 and Mario Wonder, which I think are wonderful games in their own regard.
All right. Sorry, I was marking the 10 that are going on the ordered list so that I could see which ones are my... All right, so I have... This is going to be... Some of these are a little controversial because of... me not, well, you'll see. So It Takes Two is one of my honorable mentions because I never finished the game, and still would like to finish the game. I just never finished it. So
what platform do you have it on?
On Xbox.
Yeah, I can't help. Well, no, hold on. That you have a friend pass, right?
I do. On Xbox.
If you give me the key to download I guess it's on the store. I think I'll finish that game with you if you want to.
Hell yes, I am down.
Yeah.
There's
By the way,
yeah.
If any of you are looking for someone to play Split Fiction with,
Hell
'cause
yeah.
that one also takes 2.
Hell yeah.
let me know.
I'm down. Gage fucking told me forever he was gonna play It Takes Two with me, and he never did. He's like, the first time that I asked him, he's like, I gotta finish it with Lynn first. Here we are, fucking years later, he still hasn't finished it with Lynn. I was like, damn it, Gage.
Typical, huh?
He's gonna listen to this later and be like cursing my name right now. But anyways, all right. It Takes Two. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I put that on here. I very much enjoyed Rift Apart. I think it had some really amazing mechanics to it, and just like the warping between areas. I'm talking too much. These are honorable mentions. The Finals I put in here as honorable mention. Had a lot of fun with that. And my last honorable mention, which will assuredly get some heat and flack for, is Halo Infinite, because I can't fucking not put Halo Infinite in here when it's literally my most played game by far, and I fucking love the game. Like, I can't. It's not me, discounting its flaws and all of that, but I loved the campaign when it came out. I loved the multiplayer. I played a ton of it, but that's why it can't go in my top 10, because the flaws outweigh the rest of these that are in the top 10. But yeah, Halo Infinite. There you go. Gage is screaming right now.
I was expecting that to
be on the actual list.
I thought about it, but at the end of the day, I think for a best decade list, I don't think that it would be there. Like, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think so. Awesome list all around. The way I did it is I'm assuming it'll be a weighted ranking as well, where like your number 10 pick will get 1 point. Whatever. I listed, since Gage isn't here, but we do have his list. I figured he can go first. You would just read it off. Maybe if we have thoughts on it, we can talk about it then. Okay. And then if you want to go down the Discord like setup, like on mine right now, it'll be Dan and then me and then Ro.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So you want to do one by one? Sorry, I was typing when you.
Yeah.
Okay.
One entry each per yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Round, I guess.
Okay. So Gage.
Per round, yeah.
Gage's first. Well, Gage's number 10 is
for 1 point. Okay.
For 1 point, yeah, is Forza Horizon 5. Good game. It's a very good. Actually, that would be one of my whatchamacallits, honorable mentions. Yeah.
And this one I cannot speak. That's the latest one, yeah, right? The one that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coming to PlayStation.
Horizon's an interesting one. There's the rally modes. There's the Hot Wheels stuff.
Yes.
I know there's rumors of the next one maybe being in Japan. That seems pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Playground fucking cooks on that shit. I love it. Okay. So my number 10 is a game that I didn't play until really late. Until you guys were all playing it. You guys all played it. Not long forgot about it, but been a long time since then. Number 10 is Hades, because of how freaking fun this game is. I mean, it took me years to actually play it and realize that I actually enjoyed this game a lot. Hades, my number 10.
Okay, well, I forgot to include Hades in my honorable mention. Then,
okay.
Because Hades almost made the list. Yeah, and I meant to put it in my honorable mention. I completely forgot. Yeah, that game's awesome, dude. I forget. Did you beat it all?
I did not beat it. No.
10 times. Okay. Yeah. That game. Getting the full ending of that game, I thought was awesome because of how different the NPC dialogues change from run to run. Like, the way they did story and interconnect story, and like dialogue will trigger if you meet and talk to this person first and then meet another person, but it's like all interwoven and it can happen in any order, I think is really cool. Not to mention the like gameplay, which is why you even play it for like to begin with, because that gameplay is one of the tightest roguelite experiences. It's a little rough. Those like beating it once was like, this is hard. Now I got to beat it 9 more times. Will I actually do it? It turns out you actually can, because you do get better. Really, really good game. I can't wait for the 1.0 of Hades 2. My buddy has already started playing it now that you can do the final encounter, and I want that to be me already, but I'm waiting.
Hell yeah.
I do have a question, and this is kind of spoiling it a little bit, but should I mention a game that someone else has on their list if it's higher, or if it's on my list at all, or should I wait until I get to that point and talk about it? Or maybe I'm trying to think of like.
See what you mean? Like if you had the same game but it's higher on yours, like do you?
Yeah, like I'm going to mention it later.
Yeah.
Or should I just talk about it now and then it'd be a surprise where it ranks?
Yeah, just say X game is also on my list. We can talk about it now since we just started, and then
Hades is on my list too. Hades is on my actual list. But yeah, I could just talk about it now. But I and then you just see where it ranks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't really have more to add on to what both of you have said. But I just wasn't sure if I should like just mention it now or later. But yeah, it's a great game, fantastic. Playing it over and over didn't feel like work, as Christian was saying. You're surprised that you just want to keep going. The shield was so fun to play with. I don't think I used all the weapons. I just gravitated to one of them, and I just kept using it, which I guess I should have explored a little bit more. But the story is really cool. The art style is fantastic. Hades 2 is doing the same thing, and I'm excited to play it as well. But yeah, Supergiant, they're crazy over there. They make some great games.
They're crazy over there.
Some would say they're super giants.
They are super giant.
Incredible. All right, sorry, I'm organizing. Wait, Christian, what was your first one?
Oh yeah, I didn't talk my number 10 yet. I was
gonna say, yeah, I didn't think so.
Well, Roy didn't give his either, is what we're saying. We're just talking about yours.
Oh, fuck, are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true. Just jumping in.
Never mind.
Yeah, we're just gabbing.
Okay.
My number 10 is Metroid Dread, if that's what you're wondering. I was surprised. I like it almost didn't make the list. I made a top 10 list on Backlogged, and most of the games on there are games that I have ranked 5 out of 5. But there's a couple that snuck in there that I rated 4.5 out of 5. Metroid Dread is one of them. Phenomenal game. I think what's their developer? Deep Silver? They confirm. Is it Deep Silver? It doesn't say on Backlogged. But anyway, Samus Aran as a protagonist in that game is maybe one of the coolest iterations of Samus yet. Her body language in it is like so effortlessly cool when you're encountering bosses, and like you have like a little cutscene before you actually start fighting. And then that gameplay is maybe the tightest it's been in a Metroid game since like the other 2D Metroids, but also even like it rivals the gameplay from the Prime series. Dread actually might be even better than Prime, and Prime is an all-timer game. It is so good. And then to have the final boss be like, okay, all the mechanics of the game up to this point, did you master them? We hope you did, because the boss is just these mechanics. And people had trouble with it. It was a hard boss, but I remember getting it down like on the 3rd try or 2nd, I think even. And I was like, this feels good. This was awesome. And I want more Metroid from that developer. So Metroid Dread is my number 10.
It's also on my list.
Hell yeah.
Well, I again won't say what it ranks. I guess I'm spoiling my list here before I even hit my number 10. But yeah, that game is so good. I love the atmosphere. Like as Dan mentioned earlier, I don't like creepy game or horror games that much, but Dread was like perfect, where it gave me that that tense atmosphere without like giving me the jump scares. Like there's this enemy that chases you in certain rooms, and I believe when they enter the room, certain doors close, or I don't remember if that's true, but it obviously gets harder to escape the room, and they're chasing you down, and you just get on the edge of your seat. It's like an adrenaline rush when they enter the room, and sometimes you get cornered and you have to parry them, and you're frantic, you're like, oh god. But if you parry that, it feels so good to parry that.
Mhm.
And it feels even better when you get trapped again and you parry them a second time. You're like, how did I do that again? It's such a good game. Like the gameplay is fantastic. The boss rush is super fun too. And like Christian already mentioned, Samus in that game is just so cool. So cool. There's like so many cutscenes with her that's like, oh, she's such a badass. It's so rad.
I can't believe I forgot to talk about that room mechanic, the system that they do. It's like Mr. X from Resident Evil, but like in just certain rooms, they'll just chase you down. And yeah, you're right. It'll block off certain doors, whatever, so you can only escape through like
a certain one.
a couple certain routes. And yeah, if you mess up, you gotta parry, or else it's instant death.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
And the parry is like it's tricky to master at first.
It's a hard
so
parry.
Like, so you're like always so impressed by yourself when you actually do it, but then you don't get a chance to like celebrate it. You have to like still escape. So yeah, it's really cool. I really like that aspect of it.
On some combat rolls from Samus into yours, Ro.
Oh yes, okay. my actual number 10 is Cyberpunk 2077. Actually, it was my first CD Projekt Red game that I actually finished, because Witcher 3 I never got into. I know how many people enjoy that game, so I was hoping to get to experience their like RPGs and open world somehow. And Cyberpunk 2077 came out not in a super good place, but when I got around to it, it was where it should have been at launch. And yeah, I found myself getting really lost in that world. I know it's kind of like hit or miss with some people, but I had a really good time. I felt like I said, I got really lost, and I had a really good time existing in that character in V, and just exploring and doing like a lot of the side missions. It had been a while since I got lost in a video game like that, and I enjoyed my time with Cyberpunk 2077. I just felt really immersed in that in a way that I hadn't prior. So yeah, it's really good.
It was Keanu.
Probably, yeah.
I'm like a Johnny Silverhand kind of a hater.
Oh shit.
That's fair. I'm a Pan Am fan.
We are all Pan Am fans. And Judy. I was a big Judy
Judy,
fan.
yeah. Judy's who Ivy ended up with, I think, in the end.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the Pan Am ending is supposed to be like the canonical good ending. Yeah.
That's right.
But that Judy one's good too. Yeah.
All right. We ready for number 9?
I'm ready.
All right.
Yes.
Here's Gage's number 9. Resident Evil 4 Remake. You know what? I'm here. I see your look, but I'm here all for it because I love that game as well. I heavily debated with myself what my number 4 was. Oh shit! I spoiled it. What one of my numbers was gonna be, and I decided on something else. But Resident Evil 4 Remake, I was gonna mention it at that point, but that is absolutely one of my honorable mentions. I love that. Love that game. A lot of hotly debated.
It's an interesting,
things.
Yeah. Because it's not a new game,
right?
But it also is a new game because there's like minor changes. But he's also not here, so we have to allow it. Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Hell yeah. 34.
Where'd Gage go? Bingo.
Leon. All right. My number 9 is a game called Doom Eternal. I loved Doom 2016. I thought they did an amazing job. I thought it did an amazing job rebooting that franchise. And for me, Doom Eternal matched what they did with Doom 2016 and then accelerated it in my eyes. Like, I enjoyed Doom Eternal even more than the first game. And it also hit at the perfect time because it was right at the start of the pandemic when I was like looking for something to like get enamored with. And yes, I got enamored with Doom Eternal. Love that game. Played the shit out of every single second of it that I could. And I think it also kind of helped them a little bit to kind of focus back on just the single player aspect of Doom rather than having well, they did have a multiplayer component, but it wasn't like the traditional multiplayer sandbox that they had in the past. It was something that they were trying new. And I think that helped a little bit with them keeping a more focused and tight campaign. So I enjoyed Doom Eternal a lot.
When you do this list again in 5 years, do you think Doom the Dark Ages will
possibly
overthrow?
Possibly. We'll see what happens. I'm excited for it. The 3-peat.
To me, am I next?
You, I guess, yeah. That would be you.
Yeah. Looking at this list, 3 of my games from my top 10 are from last year. This is one of them. This is 1,000 Times Resist. I will say nothing more because I've already talked about this game too many times on this podcast. I'll say nothing more than this will go down as one of the greatest video game stories. Most important video game stories ever made. For good reason, because it is a generational story. And it transcends even like all it has to say about Asianness and identity and womanhood for it to apply to literally anyone. If you are a son or a daughter or a parent, this game is for you. It is a phenomenal game. Sunset Visitor, thank you.
I need to get back to that, damn it. God damn it.
You should, dude. It's really good.
Did you customize your Balatro deck with it yet?
No, I use default my Balatro decks.
What?
I don't put any themes on.
They have a theme for that? 1,000?
I know. And I keep it all default.
Wow.
You changed yours? I know you had that Pip-Boy on there.
Oh yeah. I changed them all. I like having some variety, some spice. Yeah.
It is variety is indeed the spice of life.
Yeah. What's Rose number 9?
My number 9 is a little game called Everhood. It's it is a little game. It's an indie game. I'm blanking on the developer. I could search it up while I'm talking, but it is it's an RPG with like a rhythm game battle system where there's an enemy facing you and you're on the opposite side, like you're face to face with the enemy, and the enemy sends like beats at you, kind of like the recent game that came out, Cadence of Hyrule, but you're kind of like trying to dodge the no, I don't think that's the name of it. It's Rift of the Necromancer, I think, is the new game that came out. But it's like that where you're on on rails, sort of like Guitar Hero, sort of like that, but you're trying to dodge the beats as they're coming towards you, and then like sometimes send them back. But it has such an incredible art style. The story is really fun too, where you're like in this underworld where you're not exactly sure what you're supposed to do, but you have the option to kill or spare the people of the world. And by the end of the game, you find out if you're making the right choices or the wrong choices. But in between all of that, you're doing like these really cool battles, and there's funny dialogue. Like the characters and the story are fun. But I think that was like a 2021 game, but I remember it being like on my game of the year list of that year. And the sequel is coming out this year, so I'm really excited for that.
Oh, wow.
But Everhood was like a game that really surprised me when it came out, so that's on my list.
I haven't played Everhood, but I did play Rift of the Necrodancer, and that game is so hard.
Oh god, that was on one of my lists too to try and Rift the Necro Dancer. It looks good.
It was good, but it's so hard.
So, oh god.
All right. On to number 8, which I don't know what the fuck this is. From Gage. Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. I don't even know what
That's
is.
interesting. I got a Slack notification. No way, Gage. I didn't know Gage even played that game.
Apparently so. I never heard of it.
That came out last year?
2020. Interesting.
COVID game for Gage, huh? He got really into Mountain Blade.
Hell yeah. We're here for it. All right. And then my number 8 is a more recent game, and it is Astrobot. As we've already talked about on our Game of the Year discussion and everything, I enjoyed the heck out of this game, and even the challenge levels, those were like among the best parts. Just to reiterate what I've already said in previous weeks, it's just so much fun to finally get, quote unquote, get the those harder levels and push through and try to beat your time, and it's so much fun. And they just get platformers. Yeah. They did a great job, Team Asobi. Yeah.
I don't know how they did it, but they got former Studio Japan devs. Or I guess maybe that's the thing. Former Studio Japan devs ended up going to Team Asobi. So they had original Ape Escape developers work on the Ape Escape level for Astrobot, which I thought was really cool. But I think they also went back and got somehow got assets from original Ape Escape to do, for that level, which is awesome. That's my favorite thing about Team Asobi is the level of care they put into designing like PlayStation history stuff. I know there's the criticism of Astrobot games are like a corporate mascot kind of thing.
Sure.
But I don't think it's that cut and dry.
Yeah. And also like to take a product like Astro's Playroom, which was a pack-in game on the console. I was like, this game is super fun, but I don't know how they make that into a full-fledged product. But they absolutely did.
Yeah.
Did with
Clearly,
Astrobot.
You didn't play Astrobot Rescue Mission.
I did not. Correct.
Nobody did. Nobody had a PSVR. But that game I think is possibly better than Astrobot. So it's a maybe. Subjective, not definitive, but yeah, they have the sauce.
Maybe they should release that on PC. Expand the audience of that game.
They should release a lot of PSVR stuff on PC. The answer is yes, though. That yeah.
What's your number 8, Christian?
Another game from last year, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. That does not get better puzzle wise than Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. I don't play a lot of puzzle games, but when I do, I end up usually picking some of the best ones ever made. So for some reason, like I remember playing The Witness. The very first game I ever put on a credit card was The Witness. It was a Discover card. A terrible APR, but there I was buying video games on it. And that was like a transcendent video game experience, the likes of which I haven't really had since. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes was that for me in the 2020s. That same kind of transcendent experience. I think I talked about it for our top 10 games of the year. So I'll mention this one thing about the game. Aside from its very Lynchian atmosphere, is The way it does puzzles is maybe one of the coolest things I've ever seen in games, where like they give you a handful of like starting information when you first start the game. Like they give you a couple of dates, important dates, and a couple of things that you can solve the intro puzzles with to get inside the hotel. And like it's easily solvable, and you figure it out. And then all of a sudden you're in this giant hotel, and there's no signposts of where to go. You just have to figure it out. And so you start finding puzzles that you have no idea how to solve, but you start finding puzzles that you do know how to solve. And then very slowly and surely, as you figure out how to solve these puzzles, it'll tie to a puzzle like across the mansion. And like, oh, this tells me how to do this, and now this one tells me how to do this, and it creates this like feedback loop of I'm understanding how to do more of these puzzles. But the more I uncover this, the more I'm discovering about like the mystery of like this woman who's like asking me to like give her laser eyes or help her see. Very gothic story being told by solving puzzles and going back in time, sort of, but also in the future, maybe, I don't know. But also it's the year, blah blah blah. It is a crazy game, and I think everyone should play Lorelei Laser Eyes. It's awesome.
I think we should all laser eyes together. I don't know. There's always a terrible joke in there. All right. Bro, what's your number 8?
My number 8 was also a game that was mentioned, but I didn't think to bring it up at the time. But Before Your Eyes is my number 8 pick.
What a game, dude.
What a game.
We all three played it.
Yeah. I think I don't know if Paige played it though. Maybe.
I don't think Gage
Dan, real
played
quick, can you remind me, you played it through Netflix?
No, I think I played it on PC. No, I played it on PC.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, fantastic game. I love the blinking mechanic, of course, to immerse you in that. Like every time you blink, a lifetime is passing by. It's like it's so emotional, and sometimes you're crying because you're crying, or you're crying because you're trying to keep your eyes open, which makes you cry because you're seeing the scene play out longer, and you're like, oh, it's too much. It's too much. Fantastic game by guys over there.
There was a moment.
I can't remember. Does that game use like your webcam? Okay, it does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a moment I remember playing that game where like some emotional scene happened and I teared up, and it made me blink, right? And because of that blink, it made my eyes like worse somehow. And so I was in the next scene, right? Because it advances time.
Yeah.
And I accidentally blinked again. And then that moment was just gone, like forever. I didn't get to experience this moment. And I was like, what an impactful mechanic this is, to like, when you blink in real life, the game progresses time.
And there's nothing like, there's no other game that has been able to do something like that. Like, it's so unique. Like, it's crazy that more people don't like take that opportunity to do something interesting like that.
Yeah, the closest I can think of, like, some horror games do like the breathing mechanic where it's like stay quiet. Like, I know it's like some Steam games on Steam do that, but yeah, in a way that actually impacts the story, I don't think I've seen anything like that either. Yeah.
I'll throw out a shout out for, I guess, the some of the games. Like, I know Until Dawn had this. Like, it'll utilize the PlayStation gyro, the controller. Like, there are scenes in that game where like you can't move, or if you do, like a character will get caught or they'll die, so you have to like not move. Like, that gets close, but yeah, it's not as interesting as you blink, time passes.
And sometimes those mechanics like get too gamey for me, where I'm like, all right, this is a little bit silly at this point. Like, I don't know. I tilt my DualShock just like slightly, and then I'm fucking dead with a rail through my eye or something. I don't know. All right, Gage. What do we have for number 7? Oh, I forgot about this game, but it doesn't matter. Number 7 for Gage is The Last of Us Part 2. And you guys may be upset by hearing me say I forgot about this game. Sorry. But Last of Us Part 2, gameplay wise, if I was judging purely on gameplay, this game would be in my top 5. But I'm not judging based on purely just gameplay. So, but I can see why Gage loves it, and I'm assuming it's going to be on your guys' lists as well.
It is on mine.
Wait, what was the game again? I'm sorry.
The Last of Us Part 2.
You should have said a different game just to mess with.
Oh, I should have. Yes.
My goodness, Dead or Alive 5.
Yeah.
Okay, it is also on my list, but I'll wait. I'll wait it out too.
Okay. All right. Well, then that leads to my number 7, which is another recent game, which I think this is my last super recent game. And it is Balatro. I've been playing so fucking much Balatro that it's already in my number 7 of best games of the decade, because it's an addiction at this point. Like, I sit down and I'm like, all right, I need to watch this show, and then I don't even pay attention to the show anymore, and I'm just playing Balatro and doing a million different runs trying to get past ante 11, get to ante 12, which is fucking just insane. The fact that we go from 1 million points to 7 million points, that is fucking absurd. I want to talk to whoever made that decision, because that is quite the skill ramp, but it keeps me coming back and saying I want to fucking beat this one. I keep trying.
Do it.
Yeah. Well, maybe someday.
I told you how.
I know you did tell me how, but I haven't succeeded yet. It's an ongoing process. What's your number 7, Christian?
My number 7 is a game from 2021. I would consider it a PS5 window game. That is Housemarque's Returnal. They consistently make the bet. Another game that's a 9.5 out of 5 on my... Sorry, 4.5 out of 5 on my backlog game, but it didn't manage to break the top 10. Yeah, dude, Housemarque makes really, really fun video games. In terms of their gameplay is really, really solid. I remember being kind of not worried, but curious, I guess, to see how they would transition from 2D or top-down gameplay into a 3D space, and it worked beautifully. But what I did not suspect, and what I was overwhelmed with even, was their capability to tell a story within a 3D space. For their first major narrative game, I was stunned at how strong Returnal was. Even if it maybe I wish it was a bit stronger with some of the way the true ending cutscenes are kind of revealed. I still think it is such a solid game, and I to this day I still think some of the best PS5 DualSense experiences are found in Returnal. It's a shame that there aren't more games that are doing it like that one did. And that was a launch game. Launch window, sorry.
All right, Ro, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is a game called Tales of Arise, which is a kind of a random one. But I really enjoy JRPGs, but even though I enjoy them, it takes a lot for me to finish them. So I really, really got enjoyed to finish them. But I always enjoy the first, sounds crazy, but the first 30 hours or first 20 hours of one. But then I eventually don't get around to finishing it sometimes. But Tales of Arise came at a pretty good time. The combat is fantastic. The story isn't anything crazy, but I found myself getting really attached to the cast of characters. And yeah, I found myself doing a lot of the side missions, and it's just an all-around really good JRPG package with a lot to do. And yeah, not much else I can say. It's just like a really, really solid JRPG game. Yeah, and the characters were really fun. So Tales of Arise.
Hell yeah.
I'm just like, now I'm just waiting for the next one. Like, it made me a fan of the franchise, so I'm excited for the next Tales game.
I had a buddy in college who loved the Tales series, and he would bring his console to my room to play Tales, so I would just watch him play it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, cool franchise.
That one is Tales of Arise. The sequel is going to be Tales of a Fall.
There we go. Tales of the Fallen.
Symphonia was the one he played in my room. Tales of Symphonia.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an old one.
And he would always like curse at the screen. There's a guy named Genus in that game. And I'd be sitting there like reading, doing homework, and I just hear fucking Genus. I miss college sometimes.
All right. On to number 6 for Gage, which is Abiotic Factor.
That's crazy.
He's got it. Number 6.
Hasn't even beaten the game.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't beat Hades, to be fair. Number 10 on my list, but Abiotic Factor.
That's number 6, you said?
Yes, number 6 for
Okay.
Gage. Yep. And then number 6 for me is none other than Hi-Fi Rush. Absolutely love this game. I think Ro shares my sentiments there. And yes, the world is just beautiful. The music, the uniqueness to the gameplay with timing your button attacks and blocks and everything to the beat of the music. It's just super unique, and loved how the game felt. And obviously Tango going from something like The Evil Within, which is something completely different, to this. The expectation was like, like there was no expectation. We're like, what the hell is this gonna be? And it ended up being like a freaking banger of a video game. So such a cool shadow drop too, that it just released, and it was awesome. So,
And it was a Game of the Year contender.
yes.
And it was lauded as one of the best of the year. And it was lauded as like, this is what smaller experiences should be.
Yeah.
And then that team was dissolved, which is so sad.
Crazy.
Except they didn't get dissolved, right? They
Right. They
purchased.
did, and then
Well,
they got.
They got
yes,
saved, yeah,
yes,
afterwards.
yes. Correct.
They shouldn't have had to get saved, but
For
yeah.
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
It is also on my list, but I will hold off as well.
Sounds good. Christian, what's your number 6?
I'm almost wondering if this makes your list as well, Dan. My number 6, yes, is a game from, was it last year as well? No, 2023, right? 2023. Alan Wake 2. Remedy are one of the creams of the crop of the video game industry, and Alan Wake 2 has no business being as good as it is. I think even like gameplay stuff aside, like that's probably the weakest part for me is the gameplay, even though I think it's a major step up from the first one. I know you like the first one a lot, Dan, the gameplay stuff, but it's good in Alan Wake 2. But I think the story is even better. Like it is insane how many levels of meta narrative Sam Lake is operating on with anything they do now, like post Control even. Alan Wake 2 is one of those like best actual games of all time. Insane that it was like even made, that it even released. Thank God it's finally turned a profit, because I would love to see Remedy just do whatever they want to do forever.
Yeah, I agree. And it is on my list. I won't tell you where, but I will say, yes. I think another interesting thing about the narrative as well, like when they announced or like said that this was in the same universe as, Control, for instance, like a lot of people just assumed that it was going to be like more of that, like, continued like slop of like, let's just combine everything into one universe, but like it's very well done in Alan Wake too.
Dude.
And how it connects to Control is very cool. Even like the the subtlety of it, it's really cool. And yeah, all the story elements are fantastic, and I very much enjoyed the gameplay in this. It felt more survival horror-esque. Obviously, that's what they were going for than the original, which I also enjoyed, but more of an action-y game than this one.
This is like one of those times where like connect the universe is exciting. Because the way they do it is so tasteful. Like the fan service is like you're playing as an Alan Wake 2 character, Saga Anderson. You're like doing Alan Wake stuff, but there's an FBC little like mini building in the forest, and it's like, what's that doing here? And you like break in and like you find a note, and the note's like, yeah, Cauldron Lake is an AWE, and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And then you just go back to Alan Wake 2 stuff, and it's like that's all you really need for, you know, it kind of builds atmosphere and kind of little bits of lore like that. It's very good.
Yep. Bro?
Number 6. This is where Hades comes. Already talked about it earlier, but Hades is my number 6.
Hell yeah. That is a good number 6.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
then, what?
We're halfway through real quick.
Yes.
So I'll just say right now, with Rose vote, Hades is currently in the top spot.
Oh, wow. We'll see how the rest of it shakes out. Because Gage's number 5 is a new entry, The Finals. He loves the finals. He always begs me to play the finals, and I'm like, all right. Sometimes I say, yes, let's play. Which I enjoy the finals. I think my main issue with the finals is like it doesn't feel super crisp on controller for some reason. I don't know why. Or maybe it's just a console thing, because I can't remember if I played it on controller on PC, but yeah, it's a great game. The finals, they cooked. Former Battlefield devs did good work.
Every time you read a game on Gage's list, the first thing you do is talk shit.
I don't mean to. It's a great game. Sorry.
Gage's game is this, and I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't pick it for this reason.
I wasn't meaning to do that. I apologize, Gage. It's a great game. Play the finals. They do good stuff. Everybody flock to the finals. Christian, why don't you flock to your... Oh, wait. No, I didn't do mine yet. My number 5 is another new entry, and it is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I forgot this game came out in this decade until I was doing my research, and I lit up a smile on my face because I loved this game. I don't think it got enough credit for how good it was, and I think that, you know, you slap the Marvel name on it and you're like, sure, is this just another Marvel game? Especially when it's Guardians of the Galaxy, which had been done before by Telltale to a lesser success, I would say. In this game, the writing in this game, I very much enjoyed. All the characters felt like their characters. The gameplay was surprisingly super fun. Like the level design, everything about this game I very much enjoyed. And it's such a shame that this fucking developer got shut down because they cooked on this game. Eidos Montreal, they absolutely cooked on this game.
Spoilers for News of the Week.
Wait, that's not
Right?
this. That was a while ago they got shut down.
Oh,
Right?
sorry. My
Yeah.
fault.
No, you're fine. Yeah, they've I think they closed down, right?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll jump in to say I also really enjoyed this game. For me, the worry is like when you see trailers of this game, it had the same effect as looking at the Avengers from the Avengers game, which they do look like knockoff Avengers, like, you know, from Temu or whatever. Like, and you know, I think when that game comes out, people aren't like huge on the story of that game either. Like, they have some character moments that are really good, but Avengers was kind of like, you know, was not as good as the movie versions of those characters. And then Guardians of the Galaxy comes along. I think this was the first anyway, but still, like, you look at these characters and it's like, this is not the Star-Lord that I know. And, you know, all of the characters are not the way they kind of I know them for anymore because of how popular movies are. And so you wonder, like, they're in this weird space between the comic stories and the movie stories. It's like, where does this fit in? And then you play the game and it's like, oh my God, this character writing is arguably maybe even better than the movie. And James Gunn did like a phenomenal job with those movies. So some of the best Marvel movies even. And this is up there with, like, it rivals this. So I agree with you. Guardians of the Galaxy was an underrated game.
Yes. And just to correct what I said, I thought that Eidos was shut down. They laid off 97 employees in January of 2024. They still are in operation, but they laid off almost 100 people. So.
A lot.
Yeah. What's your number 5, Christian?
I won't talk about this game for that long because I've already talked about it a lot in this podcast, in other episodes, which is Signalis, which I think is one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh my
it
God.
is.
God about Signalis.
There's time to amend the list, Ro, if that need be, but if not, then that's okay. Yeah, dude, I think, you know, survival horror has kind of been done a lot especially over the last couple of years. Like, it's kind of back in vogue, and it's kind of hard to do a survival horror game and do something new, but they did it. They took what works from the old games of like Resident Evil. They took the kind of the tank controls. They took the inventory management, but they put it into a narrative that is like about love, about these two characters, but like told that story about love through a horror setting, through a horror story about like time recursion that is so interesting. And every time I think about this game, I kick myself for being too busy to ever publish my like 2-hour video on it, which I think needs to be in existence somewhere. So if I can find the time to do that this year, I would love to, because I love talking about it. I love replaying it. I love looking at art about it. I love re-listening to the music from it. This is one of the games of all time for me. That usually people say that for derogatory reasons. I'm not doing that here. This is actually one of the best games of all time for me.
Yes, sir. I'm not going to amend my list, but that absolutely makes the honorable mention. I completely forgot about it. But as I said, like, I think 2 times on the podcast already, I'm not a horror game guy, but the fact that I was able to get through that and enjoy it so much, I think definitely says something about it at the very least, that it's that good, that a horror or a fraidy cat like myself is willing to go through it, put themselves through it, and just enjoy that story. And again, the gameplay was pretty cool too. But yeah, fantastic world, fantastic story. Signalis was. I'm so excited for whatever the heck they make next as well. I keep forgetting all the developers' names.
Engine.
Yes,
and it's 2 people.
Insane. Yeah. Signalis rocks. And Christian definitely needs to make that video essay, please.
It's done. Well, mostly done.
Okay.
Oh yeah. You know, Ro, something interesting is a couple years ago, I wasn't a roguelike fan. I mean, there's still time for you to be a horror fan. There's still time.
Signalis is the gateway, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe. You got to start playing horror games now.
Oh, God.
All right. Gage's number 4 is a running.
Wait, what are you doing?
Shit.
I'm doing number 5 yet.
Fuck, I forgot. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I'm not going to say much anyway, because this is where Metroid Dread comes in. Metroid Dread.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we already talked about it.
We did.
Nice.
My apologies.
Nice.
I get confused when we start talking about the other ones, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Ro just talked about his, and then I realized we're talking about something else. We're talking about Christians. All right. So Gage's number 4 is also one we've already talked about, which is Hades. Number 4 for Gage.
Oh, getting a lot of points.
It is
Getting a lot of points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rolling up there. And my number 4 is a brand new addition. It is Resident Evil Village. I love this game. This game gave me a lot of RE4 vibes to it. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the story. Lady D was awesome. Like, there's just so many components to this game that were so good. And Capcom in general lately has just been, I say lately, we talk about this all the time. The last 10 years, Capcom has been killing it. And that's where I kind of put RE4 Remake as a slash next to this, because I was like both of them are really good. But because of what we said before is why I put Resident Evil Village in here as a brand new game. And I just love the Resident Evil games, the good ones anyways. So yeah, an all-timer there. Boom.
I had way more fun with this one than I did Biohazard.
I agree. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because of how strong some of the sections were. Kind of an interesting way to do it. Like I thought most of the game was going to be like in the village and then going into the castle.
Yep.
And it turns out like there are like these just like micro sections of the game. They're like you do this section, then this section, this section. By far, I think the castle's a huge standout. Because if that one feels like the most like a kind of an RE4 kind of setting. But definitely shout out to that section with the baby, because that was also very intense.
That was insane.
Little micro section.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I know people didn't like the character of Ethan, right? Ethan Winters. What an insane thing to do with him is what I'll say. I won't say anything more than that. That was crazy.
Yep. All right, what's your number 4, Christian?
Oh, is it me?
It is.
My number 4 is finally a first. Hold on, how do I say this? For the first time in my list, I'm saying a game that is already on someone else's list.
Oh wow.
That is Balatro. Another, like, the same way I put in like over like 100 hours into Rocket League when that launched, and I was like, this might be one of the best games ever made. Balatro, like within like a couple of hours, it's like, yeah, this is very clearly like such a good game. And then you get past, the first 10 hours and you start to understand like what this game really is. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is a masterpiece. This is a game of the year. And then you get into like hour 30 and beyond. It's like, this is one of the best games ever made. It's so simple. It is so masterfully done. Locothunk, just what a master of design. And he just had fun with it. This was a project for him, a small project. He decides to launch it on Steam at some point once he considers it kind of done as like a demo. And then within like a couple of weeks, it just gets like this huge audience, and it gets picked up by PlayStack. And suddenly, like, he's so close to being like having a final release of it done. And it was just kind of a thing for him to just kind of make a one-off game.
Hell of a one-off.
Hell of a one-off. I found out in a video that he's like working on something else. He's working on a new game he's really excited about, but he's not going to talk about it until it's literally done. He's not going to talk about it until like it's done, it's going, and it's out, which I think is exciting. But yeah, Balatro is my number 4.
Hell yeah. We got to get Ro to play.
I got to download it.
What's your number 4, Ro?
My number 4 is The Last of Us 2 is my number 4. Last of Us 1 is one of my favorite games all time. And of course, the sequel was highly anticipated by myself, and I'm sure everybody on this podcast. And when it dropped, it came to mixed reviews, or mixed reception online. And that was mainly because of the leak that happened before that release. But I loved that game. I loved it so much. I thought it was it was a fantastic telling of the character that will not be named for anybody out there who hasn't still played it. I think they did that character justice. And besides the story, the gameplay was was awesome. I loved it so much. All they did with the combat and the enemies, the AI enemy, the intelligence of the enemies, how they made that more engaging, and the combat was really immersive with like being able to go prone underneath cars, and the enemies, like it wasn't necessary, but like it just made it more immersive with knowing names of the people that you were attacking. Like you would throw a knife at somebody's head, and then someone over there would be like, Sarah, and you'd be like, oh
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad about this now. But it just like helped you get into that cinematic space. But yeah, I love The Last of Us. It's the Last of Us 2. The Last of Us 1 I've played so many times, but I've never gone back to play The Last of Us 2 like again. And maybe my mind will be changed if I were to do that. But the first time I played it, I had a fantastic time, and I was crying the same way I was with the first one. I just think it's a fantastic world and characters that they got over there. So Tilu 2.
So Last of Us is also on my list. For the exact same reasons. I love The Last of Us 1 original. Like that game to me was like such a clear masterpiece, and like what a story to tell in video games that really hadn't been done before at that time. I had also only played part 2 once, and then I went back to like replay sections of it, and it's like from like hour 1, it's so clear how much it's operating on like a whole other level from The Last of Us 1. Like it is like superior in its storytelling regard and its framing, and I agree with you, Ro. Like I think the character writing is so good in this, and I think it's only as good as it is because of like how effective the emotional manipulation of like that. Without that, I don't think it is as effective. And I know people talk about ludonarrative dissonance with Naughty Dog games a lot, like especially with like Uncharted. Like you're like this hero guy, but you're also like murdering hundreds of people, and it's like yes, but the reason why that works in The Last of Us so much is because like this is a game that is like you're supposed to be like having to weigh all of the murder you're doing, like, and does that justify these characters as like morally just characters? And like whatever the answer is for you, the reason why that is so engaging is because the killing feels so fucking good to like to do.
Yeah.
Like even if you are the kind of person that like I want to get revenge, then you're having an emotional response by the sheer fact of playing the game, because it is so like engaging on that type of like mechanical and system level where like I'm having fun doing this and I want to do this. Which is why I think it is so striking when you get to like the ending of that game. And it kind of like there are moments that even The Last of Us Part 1 does where like it'll either encourage or refuse you to do X, Y, or Z thing, and it reinforces the story. People didn't really think about that with the end of The Last of Us Part 1. But you definitely have to think about it in The Last of Us Part 2 because you don't get a choice. It is one of those like video game masterpieces. Shout out Haley Gross.
Hell yeah. I will reserve my comments.
Good gracious.
But an all-timer game regardless.
Oh yeah.
Okay, sorry. That was your number 4, right?
Yes.
I already forgot which one we were on. All right, so Gage's number 3 is Valheim. But
when the fuck did he play Valheim?
A while ago. He wanted me to play, and I was like, I don't know if I can get into a survival game at the time. And I was like, but a very good game. I'm not saying bad. I just started with bad shit again. Fuck. It's a very good game.
To be fair, like I also did. I was like, when the fuck did he play Valheim? That seems crazy.
Yeah. 2021 is when it released. So
okay.
I know he was very excited about it when it came out. So
I'm just saying because like these are games that are going up kind of high on his top 10 list, and I've never heard him speak about them once in like my tenure of knowing this guy.
I've heard him talk about Valheim quite a bit because he.
What about Mountain Blade?
I've never heard of
Bannerlord.
I've never heard him mention that game. I don't know what the fuck that game is.
Oh, he's funny, dude.
Yeah. All right. So my number 3 is, of course, Christian already had this on his list, but it is Alan Wake 2. And I love this game, same as you, Christian. The story, everything. So that is where it landed on my list. Number 3. We already talked about it. I don't need to go into it.
Good game, huh?
Very good game.
Oh, hold on. One thing I didn't mention about that game: the lighting. The lighting is really, really good.
Yes. He waited in the dark until he moved in.
I'm so excited for Control 2, dude.
Yeah. Be good. I'm excited for your number 3.
Oh, I'm next. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought it was Rose's turn. My number 3 is Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh wow.
I've talked about this before. I didn't know if you could do it again, and not only did they do it again, but they did it again but better. Like,
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild was like one of the best Zelda games ever made. Just best game ever made, period. Or not the best, but like one of, like in that conversation of like, of the top 50 games ever made, like you're gonna put like a Zelda game in there, and in like Breath of the Wild would probably be one of them. And like story wise and map wise, there was a lot of reservations of could Tears of the Kingdom surpass, and like they knocked it out of the park. I think the story in Tears of the Kingdom, despite it being told kind of in a non-linear fashion, like you can kind of ruin that game for you if you discover the thing out of the main story thing out of order. I was so lucky that I found I got the very first one as the first one, and then I get told that like, oh, you got to find them these whatever, and now you write down your little pad like I got to go here then here then here. And I would like sprinkle in. I would do like a major thing, and then I would go do like 2 more story things, and then go do like another major thing. And so I got this like great way to chunk out the story. And by the time I got to the like end of that narrative, it is so beautiful once you understand the revelation of what's going on, and that I just like fucking cried. And that's before even like after like the climax. I also want to give a shout out to the music. Koji Kondo is like a legend, but like what he did with like the Rito Village theme, taking the music from Wind Waker and putting it not in the dungeon, not in the village, but on the way up to the dungeon, and having the music get louder and louder and swell up the higher you go in it. That is like, that will go down as one of the best moments of gaming ever for me, is going up to that like what is it, the Wind Temple? Wind Temple?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And then that whole fight.
So good.
Also, did you beat the game yet, Dan? Okay, maybe I shouldn't say it. I was gonna say something. The climax is something. It felt like that game was made for me when I got to see it, and I was like, I can't believe they did this, and it's beautiful. Yeah. I guess I'll just stop talking. It's so good.
It is also on my list. I'm going to talk about it now. I'm just going to bounce off of what Christian was saying better now than before I forget my thoughts. But yeah, the music, this so good. Like, and I'm going to talk about the climax, but not what happens in the climax. But the music in that scene is so good. Like, I just catch myself humming that tune every now and again. Sometimes, like, dun, 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 dun. I catch myself. It's so good, so good.
I forgot to bring this up. I will either replay or rewatch the first 30 minutes of that game at least once a month. The like titles, specifically the title card drop, like when you like enter the game and like you get that music, it still now like it gives like a little like emotional response to me. I don't think it won't be a tear every time, but it will give me like that feeling in the butterflies in the chest feeling, kind of like man.
The story is fantastic. There's like, and I did it similarly to how you did. Like I reacted when you said like you could spoil it for yourself by just like going to the wrong areas, or not the wrong areas, but going to certain areas too early. But I did it similar to Christian, like where I went to certain story beats and then I did a couple of side missions. And when I got close to the end, like when I had like 3 more or 2 more tiers or something, then I just like kind of binged it. But it worked out perfectly where like the story just perfectly flowed for me. And I have a feeling even if you do it out of order, it's still a satisfying thing. But I just think that's so cool how it just perfectly worked out. And there's just like certain things like with the boss battles, especially near the end, that feel so cinematic, but they could, and it's a video game, but it could only be done in a video game. They do with certain menu things to be a little bit.
I wanted to bring that up too, man. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Because you're like, oh shit! You just it's such a great game. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom.
Good side quests too. Like there's like the big side quests you can do in that game that you can find. There's like a one like hidden quest that you can only get after you think you. Okay, sorry, it's kind of spoilers, and you think you like, okay, I've done the things that I need to do. No, it's not like.
Come back.
I'm not telling you the spoiler.
Okay.
You think you've like, okay, I've done the things that I need to do, and it's like, no, you actually haven't. There's more stuff you need to do. And then like during that section, you can unlock a new side quest, and if you do it, it's like, oh, this is really fucking cool. We didn't even talk about. Okay, Dan's played a good chunk of that game, and at this point, you should know. Like you think it's just like it's the same map, but there's like they added stuff in the sky. No, they added a third map. You can go underground. There's a whole new map underground.
Wait, you can go underground?
I'm just kidding. Shut up.
I'm just kidding.
That gloom area, man.
Dude,
so good.
That's exactly. I was gonna wait to talk about this because it is still to come on my list. Not to tell you where it's at, but I guess you'll find out when I pick number 2. But I'm jumping in because you guys are talking about it, and yeah, this game is incredible. Breath of the Wild was my 2017 game of the year by far, and this game surpasses it in every capacity. And I did not think that it was even imaginable that they could do that, and they did. And like what you're alluding to, Christian, of them going, you have the normal Hyrule, or not Hyrule, whatever, the normal map. Sorry. Yeah. And then the underneath areas and the fucking sky islands, like that's just amazing. Like being able to just shoot yourself off of your discovered towers and just glide down, like that mechanic is so much fun. Like that's awesome.
And not to mention go ahead, Christian.
I teared up 4 times playing that game, and the second time I teared up was the first cutscene you get when you unlock that thing to shoot yourself up.
Yeah.
I don't think we've really gone into much about the building aspect of it, like which was so cool. Like how devs talking about it on Twitter too was like, I don't know how they did this. Like how is this working in the game? And I really had a good time making vehicles, like especially in the Doom area where things were like a little hard to traverse. Like I just make a little mech or like a little something to fly on, put some headlights on it, made things so much easier. Yeah, I was like, this makes things so much. I feel so smart right now. But yeah, there were so many aspects of that game that made it fantastic.
Yes, yeah, I'm 100% on board with that because like Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts. People fucking just laugh when I say that, but the vehicle building in that game was so much fun. And then finding out that Tears of the Kingdom had that, I was just like, yes, this is fucking awesome. I love doing stuff like that and building. Like, I always try to build like fucking helicopters and flying vehicles. Like, I did that in Banjo-Kazooie and I did that in Tears of the Kingdom. Just fucking love that shit. That's so much fun. Empower the player to do cool stuff.
Oh my god, I forgot about like all the Master Sword stuff. Oh
yeah.
Oh no.
Crazy.
Damn. Is this one of the best games ever made?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Ro, what's your number 3 then?
My number 3 is Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think this game is probably the most hours I put in a game after Destiny. And if you know me, you know I played a lot of Destiny in my day. But I think Animal Crossing is pretty close to reaching that number. Yeah, it was just cozy vibes. I think it'll be on a lot of people's list if you were to like a lot of websites list, I guess, if you were to do like most influential games of the 2020s. But that game was like came at the right time, obviously the COVID era, but it just improved Animal Crossing in a lot of great ways. It added a lot of wanted like crafting and cooking, farming, and swimming came in a later update. Like just simple things that it sounds like to other people, but once you're playing the game, it just like it hits. It's like exactly what you need. Just cozy vibes. I loved customizing my island, having people over, seeing other people, seeing how creative they got with that. But yeah, that was a game that I would play like constantly, like morning, noon, and night. I just enjoyed just existing in that world, and it's just a really good time. Just really good vibes. Animal Crossing,
And it released
During
just
COVID.
when the world needed it to.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, I'm really excited for whatever they do next with that franchise. I've been a big Animal Crossing fan, but New Horizons just like took it to a whole nother
Yeah.
level.
They had there was talk shows in that game. It was that big. It was crazy.
I was huge on like the original GameCube version, and then so like I was like playing all of them after that. But I remember the DS one being huge in my life during the summer in between school, because I would wake up for the 6 a.m. Roost like KK Slider like little morning show that he would do in that game, and I would make my little like coffee and watch KK Slider 6 a.m. and then go back to bed and then wake back up again. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love the little events that they do, and just like collecting the bugs and just seeing your museum grow is just like such an addicting, just like satisfying to see that grow. Yeah.
All right.
2 more games.
Are you guys cool with us just finishing our list and then saving news for next week?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I didn't realize it was gonna take a long time, so we're just gonna do this the rest of the way, just so that you guys don't feel rushed. We got plenty of time here. All right. Number 2, Christian. What do you think Gage has for number 2?
For
here?
Gage,
Yeah.
I would put Balatro for Gage here.
He's about to blow your world because Elden Ring is number 2
Wow.
on the list.
Wow. 9 points Gage is putting for. I can go now because Elden Ring is also my number 2.
Oh wow, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't talk about it that long because I've already talked about the game on other podcasts that we've had in the past. But yeah,
Man, what's your number 1? What?
I love From Software, and every game they make is their best game. You know, there are no wrong answers when you say what is the best From Software game. And I mean that. I mean there are actual no wrong answers. And Elden Ring is that game. It was a lot of like Tears of the Kingdom inspired for me. Like I couldn't believe some of the like discovery elements that they had in that game. But it's also within like the FromSoft formula. I mean, which I love already. So I love seeing the community grow because of that game too. Like they went from being like a niche kind of studio that I had heard about with Dark Souls, and then tried out with Bloodborne, and then all of a sudden like Elden Ring comes out, and it's like a cultural shift in gaming that I still think we're seeing the ramifications of. I always point back to that Helldivers quote: "The a game for everyone is a game for no one." And I think that kind of stemmed with like Elden Ring hitting for so many people. Like, oh, people do want like singular thesis focused games where like it demands something from you. It is challenging, but also extremely rewarding, and enough variability for you to kind of approach with kind of the way you want to, but still within the means of the game. And they're just masters of the combat craft, in my opinion. And I'm very excited for whatever they do next. And they've already done games after that, but still, you know what I'm saying. Masterpiece game, flawed masterpiece, like all From Software games, but masterpiece nonetheless.
Hell yeah. My number 2 And this is going to position my number 1 as well, because my number 2 is God of War Ragnarok. And I love this game a lot. Some people have the opinion that the first game's better, the reboot, rather.
2018, yeah.
Yeah. And some people, like myself, think that Ragnarok is... I think, personally, Ragnarok is my favorite one. And the crazy part is like... I waited so long to play God of War 2018 because there was a bunch of game releases all at the same time, and I was like, I'll get to it eventually. Finally got to God of War 2018 and absolutely loved that game, played the shit out of it. And then Ragnarok comes out and absolutely adored this game. I thought that the writing, the characters were all fantastic. A lot of the like twists I didn't necessarily see coming, which I thought was cool. Also Brock and Sindri, which I really personally didn't really give a fuck about in God of War 2018. Like I did a little bit, but like God of War Ragnarok like made me really care about them.
They elevated their story for sure.
Yes.
Ragnarok. Yeah. It's good.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, just so many elements like that in Ragnarok that I love. And the gameplay for me, I think, was better in Ragnarok as well, even though some people preferred 2018's gameplay. But yeah, an all-timer game for me up there, way up there in the list. So number 2 there. That means Mr. Roshan. What is number 2? I'm curious.
Number 2, another game that we mentioned, but Hi-Fi Rush is my number 2. As we talked about earlier, with all the shadow dropping and just it being a huge surprise at the time, we didn't get a lot of time to do any expectations, or I wonder how this got to go in and play it. And it was a great surprise as someone who, for the 5th time, doesn't play horror games. I didn't play Evil Within. So I didn't really know Tango Gameworks' sort of style, but as Dan mentioned, it's completely different to what they usually do. But yeah, I love the humor. I love the platforming, and the combat was really fun, how everything was on the beat. I just remember having a really great time with that. And I think one of the things that I said on Twitter, like I think I posted, like there wasn't like a moment that I was bored. Like there's some times where in a game where like you're bored walking through the world, or like you're just waiting to get to the next thing. Like every single part of that game to me was fun, and that doesn't happen often. Like there's even in a fantastic game like The Last of Us, for example, there's something that's like, oh, I got to do this, I got to go collect this stuff, or this from getting from here to here isn't as exciting as the destination. But everything from in between to the fights to the cutscenes, everything about that game was just like tickling my senses. So Hi-Fi Rush was my number 2. Is my number 2.
And like, kind of like going back to what Christian said, Ro, about Elden Ring and FromSoft games. Like, I think Tango also understood that, and still understands that a game for everyone is a game for no one, because like Hi-Fi Rush isn't for everyone. Hi-Fi Rush isn't for, your casual players that just play Call of Duty all the time or whatever. But that game is so fantastic for that audience. Like, and The Evil Within, another great example of that. Like, that game's not for everyone, but like the hardcore audience that loved The Evil Within, like myself, absolutely loved those games. And even you could say that to an extent about Ghostwire Tokyo. It was a drastically different game, but like they were very unapologetically like, this is not a game for everyone. This is, a very specific game that's got a very specific goal. Whether or not it was as successful as the other ones, probably another story. But yeah, I don't know. Very, very cool. Are you ready for number 1?
What is Gage's number 1? I'm very well. No, Balatro.
Yeah, you know what number 1 is. Balatro is his number 1.
I took a peek over to the Google sheet I've been making, and like, oh, he didn't have an entry for that game yet. Yeah, of course, he had number 1. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's an all timer. There we go. I didn't shit on that one, Cage.
We all have voted for that game. That's the one game, except for Ro.
Yeah.
But that game is so good that if Ro had played it, I'm confident that he would put this in his top 10.
Yeah. I mean, we have
It'd
5
be
more
like number
years.
9.
We have 5 more
do.
years to convince him. Yeah.
Me too. All we have to do is it's on everything. I'm gonna get it for you, bro. That's what I'm gonna do.
Don't get it. No.
I tried to get it on his phone for him, but he wouldn't tell me what his
Please no.
Apple account was.
That's true. I remember that. Yeah.
Please no.
It's also on Game Pass.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It is on Game Pass now. Spoiler alert for the news that we're not getting to this week.
No, sorry.
No, that's fine. All right. So then that brings me to my number one, which of course you guys can surmise with my comments I made before. It is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Despite me not finishing that game is the best game that I've played of the decade. That game is one of the best games of all time. I've put in, I think, over 60 hours into it, and I still have a ways to go because I put in 125-ish hours into Breath of the Wild, so probably still have at least half the game to play, but the game is just incredible. I need to turn my Switch back on. It hasn't been on in a long time. Yeah. Amazing game.
Switch 2 is backwards compatible. Maybe you'll pop it in.
That's
the Switch
true.
2. I don't know.
Well, that's true. So that brings us to Christian's number one.
We've already talked about it, and in fact, I've already talked about it on this episode. The Last is Part 2. That's my number one pick. Yeah, but it was very close. It was almost Elden Ring. In fact, sometimes during the podcast, I was like, "Am I going to interchange these?" I don't know. I just ended up just leaving it.
I was surprised that Elden Ring wasn't your number one.
They're both 5-star games to me, just the same.
Fair enough.
They're the S tier for me. You know, whatever order, then doesn't matter.
Going by Resident Evil, S tier. Ro, what's your number one? We know, but
that leaves me with Tears of the Kingdom as my.
Hell yeah!
Oh shit!
Hell yeah!
I forgot they hadn't voted for it yet.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is my number one. Such a good game. I think out of all the games that we talked about, that was probably the most that I had to say about a game so far. Yeah, fan freaking tastic. There's nothing more I can say.
Hell yeah.
But I would if Dan had played it. Or finished it.
Oh, here.
I would go into deep spoilers. No, I'm just kidding.
I think I'm gonna rewatch the ending to that game.
Oh, when the nuke goes off and everyone dies?
Yeah.
Massive nuke.
Spoilers.
I hope that's not what actually happened. I actually joke about that with my coworkers at work. Like, if there's a show we're all watching, I'll just come in the next day. I'll be like, "Did you watch the latest episode when the nuke went off and everyone dies?" Just a running joke.
Someday you might be right.
You could say that for Fallout.
That's true. Yeah. Good point.
All right. So I obviously have been tallying scores, and then I went in and then I blacked everything out, and then I sorted it on by number. So the top, it'll go from highest to lowest. And I have now written down the top 10. I'm gonna unreveal them line by line. Do you want to know what our number 10 is, folks?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And is it definitive number 10? Oh, hold on, let me make sure. Yep. Okay. Definitive number 10 is Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Wow.
With a singular vote of Roshan.
Holy
Hell
shit.
Yeah. Good job, Tom Nook. Good job, Isabel. We did it.
Here we go. Our number 9 is Valheim by a singular vote.
No way.
A singular vote. Gage Dempster.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder if this next one also. Yeah, okay, here we go. Our number 7, by a singular vote, God of War Ragnarok.
Oh wow.
Making the list. Yeah. But you had it scored higher than.
did.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Our no, sorry, that's number 8. So our number 7, with 2 votes, is Alan Wake 2.
Hell yeah.
Our number 6, with 3 votes, is Hades. And it is tied with God of War, if that means, or sorry, with Alan Wake, if that means anything for you. These games, yeah, they're tied, but it has more votes. Our number 5, with 2 votes, but high on their list, is Hi-Fi Rush.
Hell yeah.
Our number 4, with 2 votes, is Elden Ring. Our number 3 is Balatro. So I'm going to guess number 2 is The Last of Us. And our number 1 is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. There you have it. PXN's top 10 games of the 2020s so far.
Hell of a list.
Not a bad list, if I had to say so.
Except for Valheim. What the fuck? I'm sorry, Gage. I had to throw that in.
Except for Valheim.
I'm just kidding.
Wow.
All right. So that does it. Our 2020s halfway mark game of the decade. Legend of Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom. Congrats. We'll pass out awards later. All right. That will do us for this week. You'll have to stay tuned next week for all the news that I said we were going to talk about in the Twitter post. That will happen next week. But thank you for everyone that is joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Gage, from his job right now. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
See ya.
See ya.
Link! You're needed in the castle.
My favorite part of Tears of the Kingdom is when Link comes out as trans and looks at the camera and says, "We're woke now."
It's freaking Link is a DEI hire. That's crazy.
DEIs of the kingdom.
Yeah. Insane.
Oh.